So my name is CHROFI. I'm a director of CHROFI Architects here in Sydney. Great to be here, and thank you all for taking the time to review this project. The project is the Arndt Residence and Artbarn, on the Mornington Peninsula near Cape Schanck. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the context, but it's a beautiful undulating coastal landscape, quite broad horizons, really decent pockets of remnant native vegetation, big skies, windswept too, of course, and subject to really strong storms. The site itself is about 2 hectares in size and features a large paddock out alongside the main road. There was an existing substantial dwelling on a high point at the centre of the site. And then most removed from the main road are the sort of lower domestic scale gardens and outbuildings. We first met our client when they came to us to help them with a pop-up art exhibition in Sydney, 2010. And I think they enjoyed the way we were thrifty with the way we thought about creating an atmosphere and setting for the art exhibition, and particularly the event, but also we quite got into the theatrics of the opening night and how things would unfold. They then purchased this site on the Mornington Peninsula, and I guess to us the uniqueness really does stem from this amazing landscape setting, combined with our client's ambition to make not just a home, but an art space for the displaying and production of art. So some pretty unique elements coming into it. We began with a master plan, which had really one very simple underlying principle to it, and that was to start with the most kind of public aspects of the project out near the main road. And we placed a sculpture court in that front paddock, to then grade to the art barn itself, which sometimes is just for private use, and sometimes they bring friends and visitors in to appreciate artworks and little events happening there. And then on the most removed and most protected part of the site, I guess, establishing a new home for the family. You can see here how the landscape transitions to that kind of remnant bushland very quickly toward the bottom of the page to the south and off to the east to the right. Just some quick images here. So this is the paddock, front paddock, which in the future we hope will have some nice sculptural art pieces sitting in there. The existing house is like many houses, a series of additions and accretions, and the plan was to convert this into the art space. And then on that more protected and removed part of the site, you can see here how it transitions to that more native vegetation to the south, but also to the north, being on the lower side, lower part of the property, it's got this nice kind of sunny, protected feel to it, which we liked. So starting with the art barn, we kind of liked the weightiness of the existing house, the sort of presence is quite, and it sits, like I said, on top of a hill at the centre of the site. So we really took a curatorial approach to demolishing elements, anaesthetising really all the domestic aspects to the house to knock it back to a core 2-storey building. So we took away the roofs, the wings, the balconies, verandas, and even the doors and windows to really knock it back to an essential 2-storey core with an almost kind of abstract sensibility to it. And like a traditional gallery, very few windows into it. This is actually a doorway. The floor plan creates these 2 quite nice spaces on the ground level for working and exhibiting art, and then there's a mezzanine that sits above with a small storeroom and a bathroom. So, you know, internally, all we really did was strip it back to its essential elements. There's a few new bits of plasterboard in there to smooth out some of the rough edges, but we basically kept all the elements in place and painted them white to, you know, sort of unify the interior. And these are some shots in that double height volume, so, you know, you can really place some significant pieces in this part of the building. Then the house is really quite a modest house, and we wanted to draw it out as a horizontal linear element in contrast with the vertical scale of the Artbarn. And pretty early on, we settled on the idea of a simple skillion, which draws a little from, you know, the typology of rural sheds. But probably more importantly, we like the idea that it gave you this really human scale edge to the north of the building where it engages with the sunny, protected grassy areas to the north. But then internally it would rise up to give you these quite lofty spaces, and again, this potential for displaying of artworks. And we sort of really saw the southern edge of this building as being that threshold toward that bigger landscape of the area. And so we quite like, again, the idea that it had a scale that could start reading the context of that bigger landscape. The floor plan is really very simple. Like I said, it's just a very modest home, but really drawn out in its length so that it does have a certain presence to it.
1 minute remaining.
Kind of nice horizontal scale in contrast with, you know, the vertical scale of the Artbarn itself. And it has these very big apertures that, 2 apertures really, that just sort of invite that view out to that big landscape. So the 2 buildings really have this nice kind of juxtaposition. The Artbarn kind of as this vertical edifice sitting on top of the hill, and then the house itself much more grounded and sitting in this transitional area between the site and that bigger landscape. And I think our client really enjoys the theatre of the way these 2 buildings offset each other, and they enjoy bringing visitors to the property, and they're even holding little events centred around the Artbarn. That's it. Thank you very much.